Israel strikes southern Gaza, accusing Hamas of bold violation of ceasefire. Gaza sees worst day of violence since Trump's ceasefire agreement signed. Security correspondent. Reporting from Jerusalem, Gaza has just suffered the worst day of violence since U.S. President Donald Trump gathered world leaders in Egypt last week beneath a banner proclaiming peace in the Middle East. Dozens of Palestinians and 2 Israeli soldiers were killed as both sides, Israel and Hamas, blamed the other for violating the ceasefire. Israeli warplanes have once more been in action, sending up plumes of smoke as they targeted Hamas in retaliation, Israel says, for firing on an Israeli military position. Hamas, which has yet to give up its weapons, is accusing Israel of arming a criminal gang of looters that it says is operating with impunity in the Israeli-controlled half of the Gaza Strip. American pressure is now needed to keep this ceasefire deal on track, and to that end, Steve Witkoff, President Trump's envoy, and his son-in-law Jared Kushner are due in Israel shortly. Under heavy American and international pressure, Israel will allow aid to resume into the territory, but the Rafah crossing with Egypt remains closed.
In our next story, North Korean soldier defects to South Korea across heavily fortified border. A North Korean soldier has defected to South Korea across the rivals' heavily fortified border. Seoul, South Korea. Seoul, South Korea. AP, a North Korean soldier defected to South Korea across the rivals' heavily fortified border on Sunday, South Korea's military said. The military took the custody of the soldier who crossed the central portion of the land border, South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said in a statement. It said the soldier expressed a desire to resettle in South Korea. It was the first reported defection by a North Korean soldier since a North Korean staff sergeant fled to South Korea via the border's eastern section in August 2024. Despite the 2 border crossings, it isn't common for North Koreans to defect via the land border. Unlike its official name, the Demilitarized Zone, the 248-kilometer, 155-mile-long, 4-kilometer, 2.5-mile, wide border is guarded by landmines, tank traps, barbed wire fences and combat troops. In 2017, when a fleeing North Korean soldier sprinted across the border, North Korean soldiers fired about 40 rounds, before South Korean soldiers could drag the wounded soldier to safety. A vast majority of about 34,000 North Koreans who have fled to South Korea since the end of the 1950-53 Korean War came via China, which shares a long, porous border with North Korea. Relations between the 2 Koreas remain strained, with North Korea repeatedly rejecting outreach by South Korea's Liberal President Lee Jae-myung, who took office in June with a vow to restore reconciliation between the rivals.
In our next story, double comet alert. Comets Lemon and Swan will reach their brightest this week. Here's how to spot them. Comet C, 2025 A6, Lemon, will reach its closest point to Earth this week, just 1 day apart from the unrelated Comet C, 2025 R2, Swan. If you want to see 2 comets, your best chance will be early this week. After a year without any comets bright enough to be seen without specialist equipment, 2, Comet C, 2025 A6, Lemon, and Comet C, 2025 R2, Swan, have come along at once. Comet Lemon may look more like a lime than its name suggests, but on Tuesday, October 21st, the dusty snowball from the outer solar system will reach its closest point to Earth and most likely shine at its brightest. It's now reached magnitude 4.5, according to spaceweather.com, about the same brightness as Spring's Beehive Cluster, M44, and only a little dimmer than the Andromeda Galaxy, M31. While Comet Lemon is technically visible to the naked eye in very dark skies, you'll need binoculars to glimpse another, fainter icy visitor, Comet C, 2025 R2, Swan. Remarkably, Comet Swan will get closest to Earth Monday, October 20th, the day before Comet Lemon, but it'll be about 3 times dimmer, at magnitude 5.9. In astronomy, the higher the magnitude, the dimmer the object. The best time to see both comets any night this week will be about an hour and a half after sunset. You can check local times on timeanddate.com. On Monday, Comet Lemon will be visible in the northwest sky, near the Big Dipper and the bright star Arcturus, and close to the horizon. Follow the shape of stars in the Big Dipper's handle to Arcturus. The comet will be about 2/3 of the way there. On Tuesday, it will be a little higher. For Comet Swan, look for the summer triangle of bright stars, Vega, Deneb and Altair, in the southwest. You'll find Comet Swan about halfway between Altair and the horizon. Helpful finder charts and sky maps for both comets are available at the Sky Live, in the-sky.org and Stellarium, as well as in night sky apps such as Sky Guide, Sky Tonight and Sky Safari 7 Pro. If you want to try photographing the comets, our guide has you covered. The two comets are on vastly different journeys. Comet Lemon will get to within 56 million miles, 89 million kilometers, of Earth Tuesday, according to the Sky Live, on its way to looping around the Sunday, November 8 during its 1,350-year orbit of the Sun. However, Jupiter sapped some of Comet Lemon's orbital energy, shortening its period by nearly 200 years, according to Star Walk, so it will not return until 3179. Sign up for the Live Science Daily newsletter now. Get the world's most fascinating discoveries delivered straight to your inbox. Contact me with news and offers from other future brands. Receive email from us on behalf of our trusted partners or sponsors.
In our next story, grab the goggles. Pickleball eye injuries are on the rise. Grab the goggles. Pickleball eye injuries are on the rise. Toggle caption. Stefania Pelfinilo Isaiah, Moment RF, Getty Images. Pickleball has quickly become huge in the United States, with nearly 20 million people playing the sport. But that popularity comes with a price. With more people on the court, pickleball-related eye injuries, including lacerations around the eye, corneal abrasions and inflamed irises, have increased. A study published this week in JAMA Ophthalmology estimates that the incidence of these injuries has risen dramatically, going up by an estimated 405 cases each year from 2021 to 2024. Researchers looked at data from a representative population of patients in emergency departments across the U.S. to understand which pickleball players are especially vulnerable to eye injuries and how they occurred. From there, they estimated what those trends look like on a national scale. Given the alarming increase in eye injury cases, the study authors called for developing standardized guidelines for eye protection, which has been found to reduce up to 90% of sports-related eye injuries. Other sports such as squash have mandated such guidelines. The study found that 70% of cases were in adults 50 years or older. Dr. Natasha Desai, the co-director for the Center for Women's Sports Medicine at NYU Langone, was surprised to see this finding because a large share of sports-related injuries occur in young players. Desai, who wasn't involved in this study, doesn't think the sport is necessarily getting more dangerous. More people are playing, so there's going to be more injuries at a higher volume, she says. And there are a lot of ways you can get injured in pickleball, notes Dr. Corey Lacker, an ophthalmologist resident at Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School and the paper's lead author, including getting hit by the ball, a paddle or by falling. A lot of people think that just because it's a wiffle ball that you're not going to get hurt, he says. But, it's still risky because everything is very fast-paced in pickleball and you're playing on a very small court. However, getting players to wear eye protection is easier said than done, as Desai points out. It's another piece of equipment players have to purchase and bring with them. And with so many options on the market, choosing a pair can be daunting. Players would benefit from standardized eye protection guidelines for pickleball, says Lacker. There's $10 pickleball eye protection and there's $160. How do you know which one to buy? If you're shopping for eyewear, Lacker and Desai recommend products made of shatter-resistant polycarbonate and those that meet the American Society for Testing and Materials' F3164 standard. Dr. Daniel Hennick, an ophthalmology resident at Yale School of Medicine and an avid pickleball player, has been researching which groups of players are wearing eye protection and why the rest aren't. He says one of the most common reasons players don't use protective eyewear is that they aren't aware of the risks. Hennick says that having standardized guidelines, posting them outside of courts for players to see, making eye protection more user-friendly, and encouraging professional pickleball athletes to set an example for the influx of new players could help reduce injuries. The paper points out its limitations are having a small sample size and relying on a database that only includes emergency departments that opt into the data collection. But Lacker sees the main takeaway from the study is bringing awareness to these injuries. Hanek agrees, noting these injuries can sometimes be life-changing. We're talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of injuries every year that could be prevented with what could be a relatively simple intervention. USA Pickleball did not reply to a request for comment on the study's call for eye protection guidelines.